They're out of money. They can't help the people impacted by Hurricane Helene. We don't have enough funding to last through hurricane season, is what Mayorkas said. $1 billion are some estimates for non-citizens, not for our citizens.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do.
FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
This all comes as the Biden-Harris administration spent over $1 billion on services for migrants.
Our useless Homeland Security says they're out of money. They can't help the people impacted by Hurricane Helene because that money went to illegal aliens. This is Mayorkas. Elon Musk is reporting and posting this to draw attention to it. But he's saying we're out of money. We don't have enough funding to last through hurricane season, is what Mayorkas said. And where'd that money go? Oh, well, we'll figure that out here in a minute. $1 billion are some estimates for non-citizens, not for our citizens. So here's what Mayorkas said, boosted by Elon in this ridiculous interview. He says, we're totally prepared, except for citizens.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well. And it's not just hurricanes and wildfires, also extreme heat, which certainly some parts of the United States are already experiencing.
Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene.
Look at this.
Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
This all comes as the Biden-Harris administration spent over $1 billion from a FEMA program on services for migrants.
Yeah, and they're out of money. And a bunch of that money went to illegals. Here's the report from the AP. They say that FEMA agency can meet the immediate needs, but they're being stretched as it works with states to assess the damage. It's just like such a joke. And the agency is trying to figure out what to do. The storm struck Florida last week. Flooding is now, I think the death toll is over 200 now. Mayorkas was not specified on how much more money they'll need. Joe Biden says we need the money right now. Says we are meeting the immediate need. Hurricane season runs through November 30th, but they typically occur this month. And so obviously there's a lot of October left. And where'd the money go is the question. Well, the Federalist has a report here from Tristan Justice writing, the Biden-Harris administration used this for illegals. Here's the background. They allocated nearly $364 million in the fiscal year 2023 and $650 million in 2024 to provide humanitarian services to non-citizen migrants following their release from DHS. And as we saw, they don't even know who they're releasing or where they're releasing them or where they're going, because you can just give them whatever biographical information you want, like first name, I'm Nada, last name, terrorist bomber, right? So if you want to come into the country, you just say, what's your first name? I'm Nada. What's the last name? Terrorist bomber. They say, oh, welcome to the country. I'm not a terrorist bomber. Would you like some keys to a new car? Sure. Love that. That sounds great. Do you have any explosives in the trunk? That'd be very helpful too. Like, well, no, but you can get those right around the corner. Great. Thanks for the directions. So to provide humanitarian services, almost $1 billion. Now the program is run in cooperation with Customs and Border Patrol. An anonymous X account, shout out to Oilfield Rando, went in and dug into this. An anonymous X account highlighted the program after I don't know, is that Swiss? Is that name Swiss? I don't know. Could be. MSNBC pundit Michael Steele sought to portray former President Trump as a commander-in-chief who denied Americans full relief. Michael Steele, remember him? He used to be like a Republican. Remember when he was in charge of the RNC? Hilarious. In case folks forgot what Trump did to FEMA, but you remember, don't you, Donald? You also remember what you did to when North Carolina was seeking relief from Matthew. You gave them 1%, blah, blah, blah. And so here he goes. Oilfield says, hey, Michael, Biden has been using FEMA to house illegal immigrants all over the country his entire presidency. It's called the Shelter and Services Program. $941 million in 2023 and 2024 alone. And you can see it right here in the graphics from the screenshots from the website. The Shelter and Services Program is administered by FEMA in partnership with Border Patrol to provide non-federal entities support to them to provide humanitarian services to non-citizen migrants after their release from homeland. $1 billion. The intent is to support, you know how much money that is, Border Patrol in safe, orderly, and humane release of non-citizens and migrants from short-term holding facilities. Here's the total funding. This year, $650 million alone. Would have been nice to have more funding for our citizens. And I was thinking about this, a lot of people, well, what can they do? I mean, FEMA's trying their hardest. There's a bunch of good people. They're working so hard and we care about, okay, that's fine. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's many amazing people there at FEMA working their butts off, and all, power to them and shout out to them. But realistically, our government, we're talking about $1 billion right here, like $1 billion just here. That's tiny. Okay. Think about how much money Ukraine has got. Times that by 180. Think about how much money they've got, right? And we should have an environment, like our government should be so competent, and our response and FEMA should be so competent that you almost want to get hit by a hurricane. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm kind of being facetious and jokey about it, obviously, but like they should come in like a military operation to restore our citizens to a livable status, whatever that looks like. I don't know what it looks like, but epic, like tents, buildings, skyscrapers going up overnight, new roads built in a matter of weeks. It should be like a war scenario. And we have all the resources and, competency to do that. Now, I don't think the government is capable of that, quite frankly, to be honest with you. But if we had other, entities that we were funding, private entities, like if you gave Elon a plan, you said, look, Elon, hey, we're going to give you $10 billion. It's like 1/20th of what we've given to Ukraine. And you just got this. You're just going to build like an emergency plan, $5 billion. So every time we get hit with a hurricane, you just have a plan. Okay. Drop your friggin' spaceships down, build whatever you got to do. Okay. Drop spaceship here, Starlink, the whole thing, whatever. So that it is just like, immediate competency. And it's like a war footing to get our citizens back to life. What else is our government supposed to be here doing? What are we doing in Ukraine and all of these other foreign wars if we can't even take care of our own citizens? It's sick. But they spend $1 billion, which again is a pittance. It's nothing relative to our spending for other people's borders, other people's citizens, other people's wars. So stuff, whatever it is, right? Whatever it takes. And by the way, if you've seen some of these videos from China, they can do this stuff, right? They build whole friggin', and I know it's Chinese propaganda in many ways, but you just look at the numbers. Look over the last 20 years, how many nuclear power plants they've built, or how many, miles of road and high-speed train they've built. There's a lot more capability in our populace than we are extracting because of incompetence, corruption, and bureaucratic mismanagement. And it's resulting in deaths, right? Our own people are dying in North Carolina and elsewhere. So it's pretty sick. And hopefully the illegal aliens are enjoying their hotel rooms. So Oilfield Rando had some more there. The Judiciary GOP account on X is saying Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas have put Americans last. And they have. New York Post wrote this, calm before the storm. Feds say there's no money left for hurricanes after they spent, here's their number, $1.4 billion. $1.4 billion is what they've calculated and accumulated for illegals and their hotel rooms so that they don't feel victimized by their home countries. So we'll just take care of everything for them. So here was another Fox report. Let's listen to this.
190 are confirmed dead, and communities have just been completely wiped off the map. And now Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas is issuing a warning. He says FEMA does not have the funds to make it through hurricane season. This despite Mayorkas' DHS having $640 million, now that's designated money, to help communities support illegal migrants. Chad Pergram is live from Capitol Hill. This is a debate that comes up now and again, but at this point, I would imagine it's going to have some real resonance.
Absolutely, Dana. There's a FEMA fund which addresses immediate needs. Now, FEMA has enough money to help with relief efforts after Hurricane Helene for now, but Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says that will change.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA
From
does
Harper,
not have the funds
are they booting that one up right now
to
come through Arizona or something?
The hurricane season runs through November 30th. Congress made sure FEMA
fly
had
it through
more than
Texas,
$20
Arizona,
billion
Nevada. I
in
know that,
last
very
week's
difficult
emergency
hurricane
spending
trajectory,
bill
but
ahead
why
of the
not? Just
storm.
move it over there.
But last year, Congress awarded DHS $640 million to help communities provide shelter and aid to people in the country illegally. That's why there are questions about money for illegal immigration and hurricane relief.
So you heard they have taken the FEMA Emergency Food and Shelter Program and over time siphoned off hundreds of millions of dollars into basically making it an illegal immigrant resettlement program.
Crazy.
Some may question money going toward illegal immigration when people in the South are struggling to survive following Helene. Republicans still criticize the Biden-Harris administration for how it handled the border.
The immigration policy is basically non-existent. They opened the border, they're allowing everyone in, they put out the welcome mat, and the catastrophe that this has been to our country in every metric of public policy, with the fentanyl poisonings of being the leading cause of death for migrants age 18 to 49, the trafficking.
There are needs for the government to respond to older natural disasters. Expect Congress to greenlight extra disaster aid in a spending bill due around Christmas. And some lawmakers want to increase aid for illegal immigrants to $3 billion. That's with a B dollars. Dana?
Oh, we have such a disaster government. It's just the worst. Speaking of disasters, now they don't want you to fly drones. They're so incompetent they can't rescue or save anybody. And then the actual American citizens who are actually rising up and overcoming our corrupt government's failed promises, they say, will you please stop flying your drones and saving lives? Stop it.
Our goal is to make sure that funding is no obstacle to very quickly getting people the relief that they need and deserve.
Money.
There's also some safety issues that come up. For example, temporary flight restrictions to make sure that the airspace is clear for any flights or drone activity that might be involved in helping to allow those emergency responders to do their job. Our goal is to make sure.
Yeah, so they need more money. Stop flying your drones. He's speaking with a little urgency there. He's not as calm as he was when he got off paternity leave, but yeah, he kind of pretending like he cares a lot, which is good.